Have you noticed that the current tea market tends to be boring, stiff, and whitewashed? Our guest is increasing inclusivity in the holistic health beverage industry with her pop culture and hip hop inspired herbal tea company. Oh my gosh, we're in for a delicious conversation today. Stay tuned for the Start of Life live show. Let's glow, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Start of Life live show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founder startup stories to help newly minted founders and business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed. And may I just say, happy International Entrepreneurship Day. Woohoo! I am so grateful that you carved out time to tune in and up your founder game because you know, as you do better, your business will be doing better. And a new resource, tool, solution, aha moment can have you running back to your business going, yes, I got the solution to that problem that's been driving me crazy. If you're joining us live or via replay, please say hello in the comment section so I can come back and give you a big virtual hug. And thank you for sharing your love on this video wherever you're watching. We're live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And by sharing your love on the video, it goes out to your feed and helps us reach more founders who could really use the information that we're sharing today. And if you're tuning in on YouTube and you haven't done so already, please share your subscribe love and click on the bell icon for alerts. Thank you so much. It really helps us reach more first-time founders and thereby maximize the joy and minimize the heartache from their founder journey. And if you'd like to receive an alert whenever I post a new show, I'm interviewing founders a couple times a week, every Tuesday, most Tuesdays and Fridays. Please join our meetup group. You can scan this QR code or click the link or in the show notes and join us there because that way you'll receive an alert whenever I go live. And hey, you know what? You don't always have to watch the show, although it's very fun because you get to see all the expressions of me and my guest. But if you like to tune into the podcast, this is how you do it. You can find us Startup Life live show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. All the places you like to go, iTunes, and you can listen to the show. Makes it a little easier if you're working out or in the wait line picking up your kids or whatever you've got going on. And if you resonate with the show's mission of amplifying diverse founder voices while serving first-time founders, please consider reaching out to me to learn more about how you can make a greater impact on the startup ecosystem through sponsoring the Startup live show. Ande at AndeLyons.com. And here's the scoop. I'm out here to reaching the pockets that don't have the wonderful, rich resources that we have here in Boston or a lot of the major cities around the world. Trying to get in those pockets where entrepreneurs are really searching for resources and tools and inspiration that they need. So thank you for that. All right, I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest, Shanae Jones. I'm a huge fan. I've been following her on IG and everywhere she glows. She's really lighting up the world. Let me bring in a little visual for you to look at while I read her amazing bio. That's the wonderful video version. I'm going to bring that up here. She's the founder of Ivy's Tea Company and strongly believes the holistic health beverage industry should reflect all cultures, all people, not just those who are blonde or do yoga. Ivy's Tea Company provides herbal tea and herb-infused sweeteners with a pop and hip-hop culture. The teas and honeys are small batched and handmade with ingredients that are locally sourced whenever possible. Ivy's Tea Company focuses on bringing minorities to the holistic health industry, especially those who reflect the holistic health traditions currently underrepresented in the industry. With diversity and inclusion at its core, Ivy's Tea Company proudly supports African American, Latinx, and the LGBTQIA community. Woo! I am so excited for this conversation with Shanae and to learn how she's building an inclusive community around a holistic CPG beverage company. Come on, let's bring her to the room. Woohoo, Shanae! Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to see you and hear you, and happy Entrepreneurship Day.
Thank you so much, Ande. It's really great to be here. I'm really honored. Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, it's so much fun. What have you got going on behind you there?
Oh man, herbs. This is where I work.
I love it. Where all the action and all the magic happens, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to, let everybody know, be sure to reach out and say hello, amplify your startup. If you've got something that you're brewing on or percolating or that you've launched and you want to share, put the website and the URL and the one-liner into the comment section, and we'll bring it up and celebrate all the remarkable work you're doing, because, it takes a village to raise a startup in a business, right?
So true.
We need to, especially, nobody understands what you're going through, unlike, like other founders. So we get very excited here at the Startup Life Live Show when we hear about somebody's business and what they're doing, and the fact they have the courage to get up every day and go nail it. It's just amazing. And speaking of diversity and supporting the world and with other abled as well, folks, it's our good friend Brent Manuel from Ottawa, Canada. He always swings by and shares the love. And I encourage everybody to follow him on Twitter. He does these remarkable Twitter Spaces conversations, and he is a wonderful role model for anybody who is doing things in a diverse way, no matter whether it's physical, skin color, anything. Brent is really an incredible role model as well. So where are you hailing from today, Shanae?
Our warehouse is in Lanham, Maryland. I am from Maryland, born in DC, but raised in Bowie, Maryland. So
Okay. Awesome. Right down the East Coast from me.
yes.
And your t-shirt is telling everybody what we've got going on this month, which really, we were talking earlier, should be happening every month, which is hashtag Buy from a Black Woman.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about your love for this, group, because I know they're amazing. I see them on Twitter all the time and IG. How did you get involved with them?
So Buy from a Black Woman is a nonprofit organization that invests in Black women founders in their businesses. I found Buy from a Black Woman in 2016, shortly before I officially launched Ivy's Tea Company. And they actually invested in me with a grant. They had a business grant at the time, which is how I found them. I just applied and I ended up winning. I was applying for $250, which would be enough to get me my first batch of herbs and some books for an herbal apprenticeship. And then I found out that I'd won actually $500 because another Black woman business owner had saw what Buy from a Black Woman was doing and decided to match that. So ever since then, like when I won, I didn't even know that I was the first person to win. I have a picture of my post when I celebrated that I won on Instagram. And I was like, I look forward to giving back to Buy from a Black Woman the way that has given to me. And so I just rep them. They're like my girl gang.
Yeah. Well, people have to understand, Shanae, right? $250, $500, folks, that can launch, that can give a founder the support they need to go and do their customer discovery, to go test their beta, their product, and get it out there, right?
Yeah, because it wasn't just the money, because it wasn't a lot, being honest. But it was the first time I told somebody who wasn't family about my business.
Right.
And for them to give an investment meant, okay, this isn't a dumb idea. My family's not just being nice to me. Maybe they are right in saying that I should keep going and keep trying. And
That's
so
right.
that validation was so important because in those early stages, I couldn't take any losses. I really needed as many little wins as I could possibly get. And so Buy from a Black Woman gave me those wins and that courage to keep going.
I tell you, that is so powerful. And folks, if you know a business owner, please know that they're looking for signs of life, that evidence, that light at the end of the tunnel. Because boy, I mean, just that little bit can be like the elixir that keeps you going for another tranche through some tough times as you're proving your business model. Thank you for sharing that. And a big shout out to Buy From a Black Woman. I get their email. I suggest everybody subscribe to them. I'll put a link into the show notes. It's incredible work, and it gives you an opportunity, especially right now during the holiday season when purchasing is happening. You're looking for thoughtful gifts for folks. This platform is amazing. So thank you, Shanae, for doing a wonderful shout out for our wonderful group over there at Buy From a Black Woman. Okay. Entrepreneurship, right? You know, some people were born just ready to just sell and move product and galvanize people to join them. And other folks, life events happen that catapult them into entrepreneurship. I know for me, it was, I had a stray cat at the door yowling until I let all my businesses in. It was never my intention to be an entrepreneur. And there I was. What's your story? How did you find entrepreneurship, or how did it find you?
So I had been working lots of nonprofit jobs in the DC area. I'd worked with biophysicists, I'd worked with engineers, I worked with a Quaker lobbying organization. Like I had done basically all of it. And I just was never really happy. And I remember complaining to my sister, and she was like, maybe you should start your own business. And I figured that it wasn't a bad idea. I mean, I'd gone to all these different places, like maybe it wasn't them, maybe it was me. And so just to find another job might not really fulfill me. What I found oftentimes was that I wasn't being stretched. I wasn't excited about working. There wasn't much that was challenging. It was just really mundane work. Even though it was nonprofit work, I was waiting for that feel good experience and I never really got it. I was just working hard, not making a lot of money, and not doing the things that made me happy. And so at the same time that I decided I wanted to start my own business, I found an accelerator that would take you from an idea
Mm.
to a minimum viable product in 6 days. Yeah. So I went. My sister was supposed to be my business partner. She likes perfume and I like tea. So
Mhm.
I went to the accelerator. I didn't know if I would have a tea business or a perfumery. And I think it was probably about day 2 or day 3 of the accelerator. And my sister was like, Shanae, you're way too aggressive. Like, I can't do this. I can't be bothered.
Way
I
too
was like, "What,
aggressive.
you're not gonna help me?" And she was like, "No, I think this is something you should do on your own." And I am an extremist. I'm either all in or I'm all out. And so I can understand how it was probably way too much for her. I was just really excited about what I was learning.
Oh, absolutely. And entrepreneurship is not for everyone, Shanae, and your sister was probably having a real self-awareness moment. And while she put it back on you and said, you glow, girl, at the same time, she's like, I can't be doing this.
Yes. So at the end of the 6 days, I had a little brown canister with a label on it that said Ivy's Tea Company, and a website.
Nice.
And so
Nice. Was it immersive 6 days, or were you doing this virtually on the side?
also I went to work. I worked 9 to 5:30, and then I had the accelerator from 6 to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday,
Nice.
or Monday through
Okay.
Saturday. Yeah.
That's like a grad school experience, folks. You crammed it all in. And
Yes,
and did you have other founders in the accelerator program, right? That you could share?
there were probably about 20 of us. I think
Nice.
maybe 5 or less than 5 had actually already had a business. Most of us just had an idea like
Idea.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so exciting. And now, how did you come up with Ivy's Tea Company as the name?
Oh, well, my great grandmother's name was Ivy, and she left Jamaica for London at a very young age. Just looking for a new opportunity. So I figured I'm doing something kind of badass. I should name it after my great grandma Ivy. So it stuck.
And how did you get turned on to herbalism? Like, what was it that lit your heart up about herbs and blending them and coming up with a wonderful taste and experience through
Yeah.
the different combinations one has when blending teas?
So honestly, when I started drinking tea, I started like everybody else. My grandmother would drink Tetley tea, which is like the UK's version of Lipton, and it would have a lot of condensed milk in it. So it was mostly milk and sugar and a splickety of tea. But once I got older, I just stopped really drinking those bag teas. The flavor wasn't the same, the quality wasn't good, and I guess also I just had more access. And so I
Right.
started to drink more herbal teas, and then I started to make my own. And that's what made me think I can launch Ivy's Tea Company, because I had made a few blends and they tasted good. But the reason why I really went for an herbal apprenticeship to learn more about herbs was because I wanted a competitive edge over my competition. Um, I know that most people who make teas didn't know much about them. They just kind of liked how they tasted. But it was important to me to not just like how they tasted. I needed to know what I was making, and whether or not they worked well together, and would they work well for the average person.
Right.
So that's what
And
that's about.
yeah, and I ask about this because, as you know, now that you've been in the trenches for a while, you got to be really passionate about what you're bringing, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's like, I'm not getting out of bed for that. Um,
So true.
so I was just really curious as to how this lit you up, because founders tuning in, you have to have a North Star, because there are
Yeah.
going to be days that are just brutal. But if you got that knowing, well, it's brutal, but I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And I love that you went even deeper into your knowledge, because you knew that you were going to diversify this CPG beverage category and health beverage category. And I love that you had that in the back of your mind, because that's a problem that needed solving, but it also shows that you are a savvy businesswoman kind of naturally, right? Finding ways to diversify and all of that. I'm just going to say hi to Asia K. So good to see you. She's our community manager here at the Startup Life Live show. And she's just so excited to learn about you. And she says your great grandma Ivy must be proud of you.
I hope so. I only met her one time.
I know, but
I
still,
hope
it's
so. And my grandma too. My mom is. I say if my mom's happy, then they should be happy.
exactly. That's so perfect. Well, as and the thing too is that you are in an interesting category, right? So when you got into herbal tea and you knew that you wanted to come up with the label, talk about how you've gone from that first canister, right? And that first label. I mean, I've been there with my food company. It was a printout that was just awful.
Yes. I'm so grateful to everybody who purchased in the beginning, because I'm like, this was so bad. You guys are so great. You kept buying even though it looked bad. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. So, how did you turn that around? Like, how did you figure out, how do I go and get the design work? Did you bring in the design work? How did you know to create? And let me just bring this up, another brand version here.
Yes. So the truth is, I didn't know anything about anything. The person who designed this, his name is Willie, and he's just a person who liked my tea, and he kind of was like, you need help, and I was like, you're right. And so he worked with me and he let me pay him, as I could. We set up like a little payment plan, because this was pretty early in the stages. I didn't have any money. I'm
Right.
going through a rebrand right now, because I want to trademark my name, which I know we'll get to that part
Yeah.
later. But once, I decided I was gonna do that, I realized how expensive it is. Like, I talked to one guy and he was
Oh,
like, how
oh,
much do you think this whole thing will cost? And I was like, oh, maybe $20,000. And he kind of did a little chuckle. He was like, yeah, we usually start our work at 50 grand. And I was
holy mackerel. Like, who's he? But
I
like,
said,
Celeste.
"Sir, I wish you told me from the beginning. I wouldn't have wasted your time. I'm broke. So I'm not
So, folks,
rich."
it doesn't, I mean, that's if you're Yogi Tea and you want to rebrand. Okay.
I was like, I'll talk to you in probably about 10 years if I still need you.
Maybe.
But yeah, so I'm very grateful in hindsight that, Willie was able to work with me, and that I had so many creative people. And Willie is a poet and he's a gay man. So it just speaks more to the importance of having
Absolutely.
diversity, because what you find is, people were just like, I relate to what you're doing and now I want to help. I feel like if I didn't have such an inclusive brand, I wouldn't have found a customer like Willie, who
Right.
would have wanted to help. So
I love that. Something fierce. And, I'm going to read what you say on LinkedIn about yourself, because I think it's so cool. And
oh,
that you're an herbalist, a philanthropist, a
yes.
theologian. Did I say that right? Hip hop head and battle rap fiend.
Yes.
Those are a lot of roles.
Yes, it is. I'm an advocate. I love to study the Bible. I've learned so much. On my personal Instagram page, a lot of people know me because I tell Bible stories, but from a modern day perspective.
Nice.
Using a lot of like pop culture references, a lot of things you see, a lot of examples that we see in the media could be applied to biblical text. It's just that it's not in that old language, so it's easier to digest. And
And and
yeah,
so and this was really important to you to bring in the hip hop culture, to bring in the
yes,
pop culture. And there's something I think that's real sweet about your brain in the fact that you can make that connection.
yeah,
Many people think, oh, it'd be great to do that, but then they're like, how do I tie that song in? How do I tie that rap? How do I tie that poetry? How do I bring the folks in? What was it that spoke to you that you just saw that was so clear to you?
well, for one, I am like the firstborn American. So hip hop music really taught me a lot about what it is to be American, about having that hustle and about being at least a little bit flashy and a little bit braggadocious. I know that these are kind of like negative things that probably most Americans would not want to own, but I think that if you've traveled the world even a little bit, you find out that Americans can really stick out. Like there's a distinct culture, a distinct way that we do things, and I felt like from hip hop music, I really got a hold of that and it helped me to fit in. And from there, what I learned is that it's really, really didactic. I mean, you can learn anything with hip hop. And also, hip hop drives a lot of purchasing decisions. I mean, Kia had little gerbils breakdancing to sell their
Right,
cars.
right.
It's a part of Coke, Sprite, all these sorts of things. Major corporations are doing it. And I figured, matcha kind of has a little bit of that. And coffee certainly has gotten its hip hop thing, but why not herbal tea? Health and wellness is very important. You got to be healthy to say those
Oh,
on stage and perform and keep that high energy. You got to be an athlete, basically. So it was easy for me to draw the connection.
and we need this something fierce because we have the blonde and the yoga scene, right? Or we have the elder grandparents sipping their tea, but tea is amazing.
Yeah,
Tea in different blends can do wonders for your body, for your state of mind, all sorts of good things. And now you saw that sweet lane right there that nobody was diving into. The yogis were definitely doing their meditation, that drive, but you're like, no, this is the kind of the opposite of meditation. We're
yeah,
doing hip hop and pop, which means jamming with your tea.
yeah. Let's keep moving. And part of that also happened because I was already learning how to run a business, Andy, and I didn't know anything about that. But when someone was like, "Well, you're going to have to market," I was like, "Well, I know hip hop." And I could not take on a new marketing style and a new business. It was not going to happen. So I needed to know something, and that it just made it a lot easier as a first-time founder, sticking to what I know, but also being willing to try something new and incorporating it with what I already knew helped me keep a lot of balance.
Absolutely. You did something that's so important. Investors always ask about this. What's your moat, right? What's your differentiator that, shows everybody else that you stand out from the crowd? And that makes it so important for many reasons. One being that it helps you find and vibe with your tribe that you're trying to reach, but it also gives you room to create something that's really wonderful for a specific group, prove your value proposition, and then you can expand into even greater territory, right?
Yes, that's the plan.
Ah,
World domination.
yes. That's a beautiful vision. And is that how you're seeing, Ivy's Tea
Oh,
Company?
let me tell you, I listen to Business Wars. I'm subscribed to Financial Times. I am that crazy business owner who thinks they're going to run the world. I'm like mini Elon Musk, except I don't mess around with the stocks. I don't fluctuate the stock industry. I don't do that bad stuff that Elon does. But I feel like in some ways you have to have a little bit of an inflated ego
Oh, yeah. No,
because, like you said, you get beat up. It's really brutal. So you got to be like, man, I'm going to take that and roll with it, or that has to happen because I know something good is going to happen. So
oh
yeah,
my gosh. I just had this moment come on, everybody. I've got to stitch that on a pillow moment for right here. I'm going to take that and roll with it.
yes, please.
I love that. I can see it stitched on the pillow, on the couch. I'm going to take that and roll with it. Folks, this is the whole thing behind the startup life. I love, love, love that, Shanae. And also, the fact that we do get questioned all the time. You best believe. I mean, one of the greatest things about Muhammad Ali was that whenever he entered the ring, he was like, I am the greatest.
Yes.
So you have to be like, I am the greatest founder, fab female founder for my business.
Yes.
And here's why. And you brought up another really important part, which is that you didn't know nothing from nothing. Founders, everybody is like that when they launch a business, even if it's their second or third. Sure, second or third, they may have payroll down and some other things down, but seriously, each business is going to teach you what you don't know. And it's going to be so glaringly obvious in your face every day. How do Shanae, right? I mean, you've got to be able to say, okay, but that's all right, because I'm going for global domination. I'm going to figure this out. It doesn't have to happen overnight.
Yes. And you have to have some bumps. Like you don't want to be, I mean, it makes for I tell myself, like, it's going to make for a great memoir. It's going to be good. It's going to be so good when Rihanna plays me in my movie. You can't go perfectly. You got to have some drama. You got to have some climax. Like there has to be a catalyst. Something has to happen. Otherwise, it's the most boring story. And you don't want to be boring. Like,
oh gosh, I launched the business. I got millions in investment money, and I just had my IPO was 3 years later. What?
Yeah, great.
No, I love Asia K's comment. We have that in common. Firstborn American in my family. I appreciate you making the connection between individualism and connection with culture. How has your culture grounded you? That's a great question, Asia. Thank you.
I think that one of the biggest ways that I've been grounded is that I come to it not knowing anything. When I decided to become an herbalist, I knew nothing. I wasn't when I was in my herbalism class, I was the only Black woman, and I think I was also like the only person under 30. So it was really wild. But I was a blank slate. So that meant that when it comes to recipes, I could try anything. I didn't have any misnomers about what would work versus what wouldn't work. I was willing to try everything. And I think that there's just certainly a lot of grounding in just being experimental and not being afraid to make a mistake
Yeah.
or just taking mistakes in stride. And I think I've learned that a lot from my culture.
That is tremendous. And going back to you're launching the product, getting it into people's hands. What was that initial experience like? I know you're like, thank you everybody for buying when it was looking so ugly on a design level. But now, what did you start finding out from folks as they tested your tea and went, wow, I didn't think about drinking tea, but this is great. Or maybe from those who are tea aficionados, what did they say? And what did you learn as you began to sell the products?
I got a lot more confidence in myself, of course, and it really felt good to get a lot of positive reception from people. Alternatively, I also learned I learned how to take the meat and leave the bone, so to speak. I had to really niche down and I had to accept that not everybody was going to love my product. And that was important for me. I launched Ivy's Tea Company in November of 2016. And in March of 2017, I did my very first exhibit. I went to a coffee and tea festival in Brooklyn. And there was a woman who came to me and she said, this just isn't going to work. No one the people you're trying to sell tea to don't drink tea. And I wish that I could see her today because I would love to tell her that she was wrong. But I'm also grateful that I got that message and it gave me something else to work towards. It gave me a desire to prove her wrong. What I had to show was that there is an entire group of people out there who look like me, who think like me, who believe in the same things that I believe in. And we have been excluded from this industry and for years. And it was time for a change. And I was happy that she felt like that because it showed that it was at least different. The last thing I wanted was for someone who knew tea to come up and be like, oh, this is just like so-and-so,
Yeah.
because
No. But I love that assumption. People you're trying to reach don't drink tea. Really? Where did you get that data?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And a lot of times maybe they don't drink tea, but nobody has ever served them in a way that resonates with who they be, right?
And that's what the issue was because about 30% of my customers are first-time tea drinkers. And so they're not just first-time tea, like they're taking loose leaf tea, they're buying infusers, like they're really brand new. Um, And it's true, no one what they weren't buying tea, but it's because no one was there. And that's what's sad.
Yes, very sad. And thank goodness you came along and said, I'm going to put an end to this because, brewing that cup of tea can be a wonderful meditation practice.
Yeah,
Even if you're listening to great music, whatever that is, people think meditation is quieting the mind and taking own breaths. Meditation is being just focused on something
yes.
and letting that energy flow through you. And I imagine putting those herbs, the loose leaf tea together and choosing their honey
Yeah.
to sweeten it.
Yes, that's so important. Like, and I know that I could make tea bags, and I know that there are tea companies where you just drop it into the cup and you stir it in and it dissolves. Like, I know that. And there's like a new coffee company that the coffee comes frozen and you just like put water on it and then it's instantly ready. Like, I know everything's so fast, but
Yeah.
for goodness sake, like, can't you have at least 5 minutes to make your own tea to yourself? Like, you deserve at least 5 minutes. And then you
You
deserve
do.
at least 10 more to drink it and read or watch TV or not do anything. Like, I just want to encourage people to have that moment of self time and slow time for themselves.
Right. And Asia's asking such a great question. And she says your enthusiasm is contagious, but how did you onboard new tea drinkers? And that's such a good question, Asia, because once you see Ivy on IG doing the live, you can see how she's bringing them on that way. But Ivy, talk. Oh, sorry, Shanae, talk about that. Calling you Ivy,
Oh,
great.
it's all right. Everybody does.
Shanae, talk about how you start to resonate and they start to say, well, I'll have what she's drinking as
Yeah.
an experience.
So from the in the beginning, I was like, oh, I just want people to buy the tea. Like, I don't want them to see me. And because I was like, what if I say the wrong thing or what if I don't look right? Like, I didn't want that to get in the way. But then I got a social media manager and she was like, Shanae, you need to be on live more. You need to go on camera more. And I was like, man, that's really like the worst thing you could have said. But I just started to do it and I started to share more of my thoughts and more of myself. And I started to show people here in the warehouse how to make tea. And I showed them how easy it is. But I think the biggest thing that I had to do was I showed people what tea looks like when you cut it outside of a tea bag and
Yeah.
you dump it down. And then I showed them what I make. And they were like, man, this is like a really big difference. And I know that the one in the bag is cheaper, but it's less quality. It's cheaper because it's not good for you. It's not doing anything for you. It's like a
No,
money grab,
yeah,
kind
I
of.
mean, you're gonna get it. You're not gonna have the right temperature with your water. Oftentimes,
This
when
is
you're at a restaurant and you're ordering it, and in the bag, it's old, it's stale.
not
Whereas, and it hasn't been blended. See, this is wonderful experience. You could talk more about this, Shanae, about when you bring these tea leaves together, when you decide this is the combination I'm going to make. You're infusing your own deliciousness and beautiful energy into the process. Yes.
yes. One of the, earlier you said, when I decided to do the herbal apprenticeship, it was to get the competitive edge. But ultimately, what I found is that it really made me feel more comfortable and more at ease.
Yeah.
I was a lot less angry. And it just felt really like fun to like, I guess, like
Right.
sensory thing, having that stuff in my fingers. And now I make teas on live, especially when I'm experimenting, and I get to talk to people about the different herbs and why I'm doing this and showing them the process. And I think that you can see the quality, you can hear my enthusiasm, and you're right, I think that that does make its way into the cup. And
Yeah. And I have to say, I just love your honesty about the social media person said, you need to get out there. No, I don't.
I was like, what
What
do
if I
you
say something wrong? We all feel that, right, founders?
I almost whined. I was like, why? Why do I have to go online? I get somebody else to do it? And she was like, yeah, but you still need to do it. And so then that really, really frustrated
Well,
me. I know a lot of founders who are afraid to get on camera, and we just get over it, man. Nobody
oh,
cares how you look, honestly.
they really don't. They
Yeah.
really just want to see you doing what you're
Yeah.
doing. I mean, I look at Asia AJA from Trella Technologies, which is she founded a way to grow plants vertically.
Okay.
Okay. And she is a member of the LGBTQ community, woman of color, and an engineer like you wouldn't believe. And same thing with her. You can take that stereotype And yet she gets right out there with the camera, and she had to build that up. She had to build that muscle of going live and sharing. Folks, you can be media prepared. And this is one of the reasons also with the show is to have some of you new founders come on the show and practice being media prepared. Abraham Ventura with Pitch Gauge, it was his first time doing a video interview like this. And he learned from it and knows what he'll do differently next time. But we were here to gently support him and cheer him on in that. And you can find those folks and surround yourself with those folks who will make it easier. But you're great. I'm just going to remind everybody, please go follow Shanae on Instagram. You'll just love when she pops up in your feed, and you can't get enough of her. But building a business is an evolution, right? It's an experience that slowly unfolds. And as you learn more, you're doing better and you're making the mistakes, but there's stepping stones for you. I understand that you had an exciting trademark experience. And boy, folks, so often, and I have a great video about the trademarks and and what you need to do for your name, because a lot of times we get so excited about our name and our business and we just do it and we think we've got the website and we've got the logo, we're good. Talk about what you ran into with securing a very important asset, which is the name of your business.
For sure. So my business is Ivy's Tea Company, and nobody actually holds the trademark to Ivy's Tea Company, but there are these little classes, and so I also sell honey in addition to tea. So in order to trademark, Ivy's Tea Company, I would want to add, my honey category in there to make sure it's protected so that nobody else can pop out there and sell Ivy's Tea Company honey. And what I found was that there were other companies that sold jams and other spreads. So while they weren't technically honeys, at any given moment, this company could say, "Hey, I want to start selling honey," and then they would have. They have a reason to. They certainly could. It would be protected under their trademark, but their name was already like Ivy's something else,
Right.
not Ivy's spreads, but something like that. And so my trademark attorney, she was like, "Shanae, I don't think you'll be able to do that. You could, but it would be a costly fight. So maybe you should just change the name." And I said to her, "Nicole, why?"
I'm in love with this name. I'm not letting it
This doesn't
go.
mean something to me. This doesn't mean anything to them. Like, make them stop. And it was difficult. It was different. But at the same time, I have a new name that's a lot more hip hop inspired, and now I feel like I'm starting fresh, but I'm starting with experience. I've been able to put the money into the business. I'm able to make it what I would have made Ivy's Tea Company if I had more. When I launched Ivy's Tea Company, I launched with $715, 300 of which was my own money.
Thank you.
I raised the additional 415 from family. So I was able to do what I could with what I had.
Right.
But
Are you able to share the new name yet, or you want to wait till you do the big unveil?
I'm waiting to do.
Oh, good for you. Well, I want to add on to your story with the trademark, Shanae, because with my food business back in 2002, when I launched, I called it Goddess Granola, divinely delicious, right? So trademark that in the USPTO.gov does not get back to you in a timely fashion, folks.
No, it takes like a year.
It's like 4 or 6 months later, you're on the shelf and they're like, "No, you can't use that name." And I'm like, "Say what?" And so what happened to me is I called down to the SEC attorneys. I'm sorry, the USPTO, the US Patent and Trade Office attorneys down there. And I asked them, "What can I do here?" And they said, "Well," because I didn't want to spend any more money on the attorney because I didn't have it.
Right.
So I went and let my tax dollars do the walking for me. So I get to talk to them for free. And they said, "Well, you can send a letter to the person who we feel that is rubbing up against you." And it was a goddess bar, okay, that they just felt was going to be too close and they could end up having some granola. And that, like Shanae was talking about, would be a problem. But they said, you could send them a letter and asking them permission for you to rub up against them in this category. and they sent me the language to use. And I found out their name, and I found out they were from Santa Rosa, and they had like a beautiful Lotus bakery. So I knew I kind of had a chance because I felt the peace, love, and everybody get along vibe. And so I called the guy, and he's like, "Oh, of course you can." I told him my situation and how much I like you. I just felt really close to the name. It meant something to me. And he said yes, and he'd be happy to sign the really serious legalese document. So I sent it to him with a return FedEx label, and I was able to get the trademark. So folks, your attorneys are probably not going to go that extra mile for you. Always call the USPTO attorneys and ask them what you can do. It's free, and you may be able to get permission from somebody else to do that. Okay, that was just a sidebar, everybody, on trademarking. What do you want to add to that,
I would
Shanae?
say that, so with my name, which I was not able to trademark, there are other aspects of my business that I have trademarked. I'm registered for trademark,
Yeah.
like Trap Tea, which is our hashtag, and Drink Tea Like an Adult, which is our tagline. And some people may know that I did file a lawsuit against a company using Trap Tea as their business name for their tea company. And I might have been inclined to allow them to use the name had I gotten a letter, but it kind of seemed like they knew I was there and they didn't care, you know.
Wow.
So it is expensive, once you do get a trademark registered, you still have to protect it, So
Yes, you do.
it's like the money's never spent, never done spending, So like you said, you were able to reach out and contact, it's important. It feels good as a business owner to
Yeah.
know that someone respects the marketplace enough to contact you. And it's unfortunate to have to sue people. That's not what you want to do. It's not a cheap thing. It's thousands of dollars.
It really is. And I'm actually going to take this segment here and put this on as a separate, little video, because people really need to understand it's really your most valuable asset is your brand name. And it's worth the investment in time and money to protect it and stay aware, especially when you're going for global domination like Shanae. But I also have a question about the trap tea. And
Yes.
it's a hashtag trap tea. Trap China. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hashtag trap China. Now, if you Google, trap China, you're just getting everything about China. So can you grab one? Can you grab one of your teacups?
Let's see. We've got a couple right here.
Shanae has a beautiful line of actual China, like teacups. Hold on. Let me bring this in.
Now the lighting is, I suck at lighting people. So what do I need to do?
Move it to the left, maybe.
My left.
Or how about to the right? Yeah. Anyway, it's beautiful. It is. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous cup.
And I've got matching plates.
Oh, what does that say on there?
It says honor your power.
Honor your power. I love it. But what does trap China mean? Obviously, it's a popular thing.
Yeah. So Trap China is, a lot of people, once I first started, I would make teas and I would be blasting Cardi B and people like that when I made the tea, just because when I drink tea, I've never been like a let's listen to ASMR or like smooth jazz type of person. I usually drink tea because I was fed up and I wanted something to calm me down. But I would usually be listening to some rap music that was a total contradiction of that. And so as I was doing that, people online started calling it trap tea, and it was just a moniker that I accepted. And in my pursuit of global domination, I just wanted to touch every aspect of your tea time. So having teas wasn't enough. So I started having honey because tea with honey, and then I wanted to offer cups. And then I didn't want it to just be any cup. Like I wanted to be something fancy and something that represented hip hop culture, which trap music is a part of that culture. And so that's how the China came to be. Just
I love it. And the thing is that you've got, if I were to use the vernacular, dope words and affirmations and sayings inside the China on the back of the plates. So everybody, you've got to visit ivtsco.com and go check it out because it's really beautiful. Now, Shanae, part of global domination means you're going to have to start outsourcing this process. You can't keep up with the orders doing all the blended teas yourself. And, if you want to be really shifting the CPG, consumer packaged good, holistic health beverage market, you're going to have to find someone who's in alignment with your vision and mission that has a manufacturing facility that can help do the loose leaf and send it out to the world. Have you started to explore that avenue yet?
It's certainly something that I was on the path of considering, and then my trademark stuff.
Right.
So it kind of got set a little bit back,
Yeah.
because what I found is that I really needed to work on the brand. And I need a lot of money, so I have to go to people when it's time to seek investments or however that looks for me, because
Right.
I'm not so sure that, say, VC funding is what I need, as much as it might just be more marketing or more advertising. You never know.
Well,
But
the beauty of what you've done is you've created traction, which adds a lot of
yes,
value to your business. So I imagine getting some good angel money in would give you a lift for creating the the volume piece of what you need.
right. So once I have the rebrand, which is so sexy,
When is
once
that going to happen? I want to put it on my calendar.
I've got a tentative deadline for March right now. So that's when it's coming. It'll be here before we know it. But
Okay.
um, once I have it, I know that it looks different, it feels different. Everything about it is just, it puts me on par with those other companies that have
Right.
already received a lot of those big investments. To anybody who's a startup founder out there watching, I admit I have a secret alias, and she buys products from my competitors and also from businesses that I want to be like. And I get their packaging and I see what it looks like inside and what it feels like. And so I already had that in my mind.
Right.
And I bought from one of my competitors. Like, I was so hopeful that it was going to be bad, Andy. And it was beautiful. I was so upset. I was like, "Oh God, no!" I called my friend. I called Nikki from Buy from a Black Woman, and she was like, "So what's it like, friend?" And I said, "Nikki, it's beautiful."
How can I ever compete with that? But you will. There's
It gave me an idea of what it could look like,
yeah,
because like I said, I didn't know anything. So I didn't know anything about making tea. I didn't know about running a business. I didn't know about packaging. I didn't know about sourcing. I didn't know about any of that stuff. So the way that I learned is by buying other people's products,
yeah,
seeing what they're doing, going online and researching, joining the Buy from a Black Woman community, connect with other people. And in a lot of ways, I'm at the forefront of that. So now people are asking me for help, and I'm like, "Why are you asking me? I still don't know anything." But um, but the
but
point is that because I've experienced and had an opportunity to see what those people who have big investments do, what those businesses that have millions of dollars a year in sales do, I've been able to say, now I can work backwards. This is how
yeah,
they
that's
do it, but now this is how I can do it.
okay. I just have to stop for a quick second and do this, everybody. I'm having an anti-licious moment over that, Shanae, big time, because that's what you do. You see what the pros are doing.
Yeah.
You're going to tweak it to have your vibe and have what your customers are going to want and feel. But you're going to take the experience that you learned from watching how they did that, and the polish and the professionalism. And because, when you're doing CPG, consumer packaged goods, whatever marketplace you're entering, people are used to a certain signal from that packaging. And you folks creating apps and doing some great online things, God love you, because what Shanae is doing with Ivy's Tea Co, there's so many moving parts that you don't have to worry about. There's the labeling, the packaging, the inventory managing, that alone can be, and then sourcing the ingredients, especially when all of a sudden you can't get something
Right.
that's in your blend, distributing it out there. It's a lot to manage, Shanae.
Yeah. And I didn't realize.
Who knew?
You
I used to say, after I launched my food business and saw what was involved, I was like, oh my God, I just should have just checked myself into some clinic somewhere and gotten over that idea. Because I had a shelf life,
Yeah.
free, maybe 6 week, little window of opportunity. You better buy this stuff and eat it quickly, or else it's going to go bad. Oh,
Right.
that's awful.
Right.
Um, so as you build this brand and as you're going for the global domination, I love that you took what other folks were doing and you're going to tweak it and make it your own and still add that beautiful vibe, beautiful experience. What other things can you share with folks about your herbal tea company that you've had to learn, again, what you didn't know, but now that you do know, you can do better. What can we share with folks, especially like around pricing and get and distributing the product? Did you go to trade shows? How have you gotten other people onboarded?
So it's been certainly a lot of trial and error, but for the most part, I just come to my business as a consumer. Like, how would I like to get this if I were a consumer?
Yeah.
Setting up promises that you can deliver on, and making sure that you over deliver on them every time. What other things? Oh, certainly pricing. Make sure you're pricing your products fairly. But I also tell people all the time, there's other tea companies out there. I just don't compete on price. I just don't.
Perfect. Yeah.
My price is the price, and people buy it and they love it for a reason. And some of that means that I have to be on live more, like I said, or share more about myself. I have a very high touch business, so people email,
Love that.
DM, text me, like really text me, like, "Hey, these are new shoes I bought." Like they don't, and it's my business line. Like I have to respond to the computer. Like this isn't my phone. Like they think it's my phone, but it's not. Um, but the point is that I just built that relationship that allows me to charge what I charge, and people
Right.
know that they're getting something back from it. And the last thing that I would think I would tell every business owner is to make sure that you are setting aside and saving money for your taxes and stuff like that, and other business things that are going to increase the value of your IP. Make sure that you're set aside goals for yourself to trademark your product names, your business names, get copyrights whenever it's necessary. Maybe you're up for design patents. If you have a CPG product, that's something you could invest in, and make sure that you are thinking like a business owner. Don't treat it like a hobby. If you treat it like a hobby, it's going to give you hobby results. So just
That's right.
go all the way in.
That's wonderful advice, Shanae. Thank you so much for that. And you made a good point about the pricing, folks. You can't, if you know that you can't be in a price sensitive category, then you're going to find another way, like Shanae has done, to reach her customers through whether it's live or whatever she can do to create that bond, create that customer loyalty, get those brand ambassadors going for you so they go out and spread the word for you.
Yes.
And join a group like Buy from a Black Woman so that you've got the support of a community to help give you lift. Because as volume increases with CPG products, then your margins are going to go down, and then you can maybe do some pricing adjustments. So what are you working on right now, Ms. Shanae, that the Startup Live community can help you? What is it that's hard right now that we could add some wind to your sails with?
I'm looking for people to spread the word about Ivy's Tea Company. If you have a podcast or a blog or whatever, when you're looking to profile a Black woman business owner or an herbalist or anything like that, reach out. I'd love the opportunity to chat with you. I'm reachable everywhere, really. I mean, Amy
Yes.
will tell you, I respond to DMs and emails. I'm not
Absolutely.
famous.
And Shanae, I want to say how much I appreciate that you put that out there and you're doing it. Founders, this is a role model for you
Oh,
on how to hustle and getting the word out. Podcasts and live streams and interviews like this, blog posts being written about you, getting press is so important. Another important role. I know you got so many under the tiara or your hat, but this is just another one that you have to do. And I really appreciate and admire, Shanae, everything that you've been doing around your business and getting the word out so you can get the results that you want. When we've talked about this a lot, I didn't know nothing from nothing, but when you have felt inadequate, which we all do as founders, it's a roller coaster ride, folks. When you, Shanae, have felt like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? What helps you, other than brewing a beautiful and delicious cup of tea, helps you shift your mindset?
Before I would do something like go out to dinner or drink wine or something, but I haven't had anything to drink all year. So that's just something I've been trying, not for any reason. But it was last March that I got a dog. And she has done wonders for my mental health. A part of it has to do with the fact that she's a beagle who has lots of energy. So I have to walk her like miles and miles and miles, or she'll harass me. But she has helped me stay calm and walking her, and sometimes she's like in this patch of grass for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. She runs up on all the plants and she sniffs them. In those moments, like I'll just sit there and wait on her and I'll just reflect on what I used to be like, what my first day of business was like, what my first year was like. And I think about where I am now. And honestly, it always turns out, this is what I wanted. It's not so bad after all. And I appreciate those moments of pause with my dog.
That's right. I love that. And I have to say, it's the first time someone has used their pet as the example. But of course, pets ground us out. We've got to take our mind off what we're doing and our problems and take care of them. That's so beautiful, Shanae. Thank you for that. And now you've been an entrepreneur, for about 4 or 5 years. How has this journey served you? How are you feeling about yourself, both professionally and personally, as a result of being a founder?
I think that one of my biggest professional um, areas of growth has just been, I guess, my willingness to not fail. Growing up, I always felt like I had to be perfect, and I always felt like I had to do the right thing. I always got straight A's and graduated at the top of my classes. It was really, really important to me. But since I've started my business now, I actually look forward to failing. I'm like, how wrong can I do this where it won't cost me that much? And so that's really cool. I seek out failure because I've learned a lot more when I fail, honestly, than when I succeed. And so I'm always looking to learn. And personally, I have a lot more confidence and a lot more belief in myself and a lot more belief in a higher power, because I'm fully aware that um, a lot of it is simply provision that I had no control over. I mean, I work hard and I do
Mhm.
my best every single day, but there's been a lot of success that I've had that I can't explain. And I can only presume that that's because there's, a greater force out there working on my behalf. And I'm
That's
really
right.
grateful. Yeah.
And, yep. And a lot of times, you let go. So you do the best you can,
Yeah.
and then you kind of surrender it. And that can give a lot of good peace of mind as well. But I just loved every minute with you, Shanae. And I'm going to just apologize for calling you Ivy a few
Oh,
times.
why?
But Shanae, really, you shared such great advice for founders everywhere. This is an audience that tunes in from around the world. And I know someone's are going to come in and just go, oh my gosh, that's just what I needed to hear. Thank you. Thank you. And this journey that you're on is going to be so exciting to watch you. I'm hoping, maybe down the road, you'll come back and give us an update so we can find out, where is she
I'd
now?
love to. I'd love to.
Oh, thank you, everybody. I just want to remind you, folks, grab the URL, go follow Shanae everywhere she glows with Ivy's Tea Company. It's at Ivy's Tea Co. on Instagram and on Twitter, and connect with Ivy and try some of her tea. Okay, folks, because this is delicious and it's a whole new day now for the herbal tea industry. We should all be just going, yay, Shanae, for having the courage to go and put a stake in the ground and say, this is going to be great and we're going to change it. And this inclusivity is important.
Yes, it really is.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to pop you in the green room, hang out for a second while I do the closing remarks and say, tell everybody, how much did we learn from Shanae today? I mean, it was just amazing. And I'm serious when I hear you talk about how the CPG industry is so hard. Anytime you're doing a consumer packaged good, it's really difficult. And Shanae is figuring it out with such candor every day and taking people on the journey with her while she brings such a beautiful product to the world. So I'm so grateful that she shared her deliciousness with us today. And I'm so glad that you caught all of her gems as well. And let me tell you who's joining me on and joining us on Friday, November 19th. at 12 p.m. EST, 9 a.m. PST. It's Jeanette Abier, and she is a mompreneur. And she's had to really work at the art of raising businesses while raising babies, because she's the founder of 3 businesses and the mother to 5 children. So she's had to figure out how to juggle the demands of both worlds. And boy, just like Shanae shared, this is not an easy journey. And Jeanette made a lot of mistakes and has so much great information to share with other mompreneurs who are trying to do it all, so to speak, at the same time. It's not easy, and there's an art form to it. And she really sees that the failures are stepping stones that have led to her success. So we're going to have a delicious conversation with Jeanette on the 19th. And how do you get an alert whenever I post a new show? Right here at the Startup Life Live meetup group. All right. Scan the QR code or go visit bit.ly/Startup Life Live so you'll receive an alert. There's always a founder out there ready to share their story with you to help you maximize the joy and minimize the heartache from your founder journey. We're all, come on, it takes a village. We're all holding hands together as we do this. And to that point, I'd like to remind everyone that please remember that you're braver than you believe. Oh yeah, you've got this. And stronger than you seem. You've got the courage and the tenacity. And as we say here in Boston, you're wicked smarter than you think. All right, folks. So keep going, stay in touch. Let us know how you're doing and pop questions in and follow us everywhere we go at the Startup Life Live show. It's at Ande Lyons. I'd love to hear from you and learn what you're doing. And until then, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Mwah, everyone. Okay, so it's having a hard time